Okay, so we're continuing on our mega series of similes of the Buddha and our minor series on the hindrances. And today's our last class on the hindrances. We're at the final number 5 hindrance, doubt. Now, this doubt has a special meaning. It's not doubting, am I going to get the job I want, or am I going to be able to pay the bills by the end of the month? It's not that kind of doubt. It's doubt in the Buddhist teachings and doubt in the Buddha's awakening and his enlightenment. So this is what the doubt is referring to. So it's very specific. So I'm going to start with a couple of similes that the Buddha used to talk about doubt. The first one's from the Digha Nikaya, the long teachings. Number 2. Just as when a person, rich and prosperous, travels through a wilderness where there is no food and much danger, but sometime later they have crossed the desert and gradually reached safely the vicinity of a village, a place of safety, free from danger. And at that they rejoice, glad at heart. Similarly, as long as the hindrance of doubt is not abandoned in one, a meditator considers themselves as traveling in a wilderness. But when this hindrance is abandoned, they consider themselves as one arrived at a place of safety. And when they see themselves free from this hindrance, joy arises. In one who is joyful, rapture arises. And one whose mind is enraptured, the body is stilled. The body being stilled, they feel happiness. And a happy mind finds stillness, which is also known as samadhi or jhana. And the next simile comes from the Sanghamitta Nikaya. These are the linked sayings, chapter 46, number 55. Furthermore, when your heart is overcome and mired in doubt, even hymns that are long practiced don't spring to mind, let alone those that are not practiced. So he's just saying that your memory is poor when you're feeling a lot of doubt. Suppose there was a bowl of water that was cloudy, murky, and muddy, hidden in the darkness. Even a person with clear eyes checking their own reflection wouldn't truly know it or see it. In the same way, there's a time when your heart is overcome and mired in doubt, and you don't truly understand the escape from doubt that has arisen. At that time, you don't truly know or see what is good for yourself, good for another, or good for both. Even hymns that are long practiced don't spring to mind, let alone those that are not practiced. This is the cause. This is the reason why sometimes even hymns that are long practiced don't spring to mind, let alone those that are not practiced. And the Buddha goes on to say, when your heart is not overcome and not mired in doubt, even hymns that are long unpracticed spring to mind, let alone those that are practiced. So when we're not doubting, then our memory is excellent. Suppose there was a bowl of water that was transparent, clear, and unclouded, brought into the light. A person with clear eyes checking their own reflection would truly know it and see it. In the same way, there's a time when your heart is not overcome and mired in doubt, and you truly understand the escape from doubt that has arisen. At that time, you truly know and see what is good for yourself, good for another, and good for both. Even hymns that are long unpracticed spring to mind, let alone those that are practiced. This is the cause, this is the reason why sometimes even hymns that are long unpracticed do spring to mind, let alone those that are practiced. Then the Buddha goes on to tell us what is the cause for doubt. So this is in Anguttara Nikaya, chapter 1, number 15. Meditators, I do not see a single thing that gives rise to doubt, or when it has arisen, makes it increase and grow like unwise attention. When you apply the mind irrationally, doubt arises, and once arisen, it increases and grows. And then he does the opposite in Anguttara Nikaya, chapter 1, number 20. Meditators, I do not see a single thing that prevents doubt from arising, or when it has arisen, gives it up, like wise attention. When you apply the mind rationally, doubt does not arise, or if it's already arisen, it's given up. So, what is this wise or unwise attention? So I'm just going to read this through, and then I'll go back and do it again with some examples, so to make it clear. Unwise attention is seeing permanence in the impermanent, seeing happiness in suffering or unsatisfactoriness, seeing self in not self, seeing the beautiful in the not beautiful. So basically, it's seeing things, not seeing things as they truly are. Okay, so going back here, unwise attention is seeing permanence in the impermanence. So our most recent example of this is the town site of Jasper. I mean, I've been going to Jasper all my life. Jasper's always been there. And now a third or a half of it is burnt. It's gone. My niece, Lise, she has 2 children, and those children probably thought their mom was permanent, and she just passed away from cancer. My sister, she trained in a very specific area of training where there's not a lot of jobs, a museum conservator. And she worked at the Glenbow for over 30 years. And then the government did a 30% cut to their operating budget. And she's out of a job. So, things, if we just look at them in the now, they can look very permanent to us. And we sort of forget that everything changes. Things change, and what was once permanent, becomes, ends or changes in some way. And if we're not holding that in mind, then we can be really shocked and discombobulated. But if we can just sort of hold that, like we can enjoy things as they are, but sort of realizing that this isn't forever. It's going to change. Now, I think this is the seeing the impermanence and the permanent, what looks impermanent. That sort of applies to all these other ones. We can, it'll explain them. So if we come to the next one, seeing happiness in suffering or unsatisfactoriness. So sure, it's great when things are there. And we can be really happy about it, but if we're not aware that it can be impermanent and it can change, then we really suffer when it does change. Okay. And then it's the same thing for seeing self in the non-self. So we can see ourselves as having various capabilities, or see ourselves as looking a certain way. And then as we age, we get all the wrinkles and then our bodies become infirm. And I remember when I was working in my career as a psychiatrist, I had so many men in my practice, who were real athletes, climbing mountains or all kinds of really hard physical activities. And then as their bodies were aging, they were in horrible depressions because they had sort of never considered that. They never considered their body not being able to do these wonderful things they were capable of doing. But it was inevitable. And they hadn't sort of kept that in mind. And then they ended up with these really severe depressions because their bodies were aging and failing them. So again, it all goes back to this impermanence. Seeing the beautiful and the not beautiful. Same thing, we can have our youthful beauty. And then this definitely fades as we age. Or we have a beautiful new car. We buy a new car and we're so excited about our new shiny car, and then it gets old and rusty. Or we get a new home and we're happy about our new home, and then it starts falling apart. Needs all this maintenance. So the important thing, we don't want to make ourselves miserable, but we need to keep in mind that things change so that when they do change, we're just not shocked. We can sort of roll with roll with the reality. Okay, so the last part here, and we're going to be done awfully fast.
That's fine.
So antidotes to doubt. So first of all is the wise. So we were just talking about unwise attention in the last one. And did I give you the reference for that? Yes, I think I did. Yeah. So wise attention is seeing the impermanence in things, seeing the potential suffering that, that can arise when things fall apart. Seeing non-self, which means seeing that we're evolving and changing. We don't stay the same. We don't have some kind of a core, unchanging aspect to ourselves. Seeing the not beautiful and the beautiful, all having to do with impermanence. Now, the biggest antidote to doubt for me is the next one, which is our own positive experiences with meditation. So I won't go into detail about my positive experiences because I did that in detail a couple of weeks ago. And it's also written up in, I wrote a 4-part essay under the teachings under miscellaneous, my experiences. But just in summary, when I started to meditate, I met my crazy brain that I had never met before because I kept myself so busy and so externally focused that I never met my crazy mind. But then the meditation just allowed me to find peace, like immediately, like instantly. It was quite amazing. And so when you have these beautiful experiences with meditation, then you don't have to have faith in somebody else saying, oh, this is good, because you've had the experience. So I thought we could pause here and go around the live in the Zoom room, and everybody can just share a little bit about what your positive experiences have been. So I'm going to start with Bodhi Pollock because I know she's had a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll
It's
just
just like scanning the memory banks. Which one shall I pull out?
Yeah. So just a minute. Let me see. Can you just put yourself on the screen? Can you just pull that around or something?
Or here, I'll sit.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many, but I was thinking of an example from somebody else even that I think is fair to say applies. I've experienced this many times, which is a good thing to know. So quite often we don't see necessarily immediate results from these efforts to investigate the mind and bring up and create some wholesome mind states, it might feel like not much is changing for quite a long time, but the power of intention is really strong and things are happening under the surface. It is the classic iceberg example. A lot is happening under the surface, and you're trying to shift the long established habit patterns in the mind. So it is like trying to change the trajectory of a ship that's already in motion, trying to shift the Titanic, basically. And so quite often there'll be, periods where you think, swear nothing is happening, nothing's changing, nothing's getting better. And then some little moment will happen that shows you that actually it is changing. I can't pull out the most perfect example out of my experience currently, other than to tell you, I know, I do have one. I don't know how it happened. It all happened unconsciously, but like many people, I had a troublesome relationship with my mother. She died of cancer at 54. She was very depressed for most of her life and not able to bring any kind of skill to parenting. And I was angry and resentful and all the things that we always are through my early life. But after having cancer myself, it was interesting. I think that was part of the process, but also years of working on meditation and intention. I remember standing in front of the fridge, looking at a picture I had drawn of her that I put up when I had cancer on the fridge, and just knowing I felt nothing but appreciation and love for that person anymore. Like it was gone, all the resentment, all the anger. All I could say is I looked at that person and thought, she did the very best she could given all the conditions of her life. And so that was a moment of deep change, clarity, where I went, oh, something's really shifted in this mind. Okay, that's my story.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, good and helpful.
So Patricia, do you have something to share?
I do. So I know that your metaphor of the Titanic is very important because I have a voice in my mind that I don't want to continue. It's not positive. So I want to shift that voice. And I do know that meditation is a good way to do that, and it is helping whenever I do it. I have to do it more regularly, but yes, I just know that's a very positive way to do it. So I'm working on that.
Great. Yeah, I'll mention one of the whoops.
No.
I'm trying to get back. Here we go. There we go. And I'll just unpin myself for a moment here. Let me see how I can do that. Remove pin. There we go. Okay. Another one I'll mention is patience. I remember being very impatient, especially when I was on hold on the telephone or standing in a long grocery lineup. I would just be standing there fuming, and meditation would be, oh, golden opportunity to practice meditation. And then instead of fuming, I'd just be at peace and be pleasant to the poor person, when they answered the phone. I came up to the checkout person. But anyway, patience was a huge gift that meditation practice gave me. Okay, Linda, did you have something to share?
Sure. Well, I have been really facing my crazy self as well, that crazy part of my mind, and it's just so intense. And what's really helped so much is that I know that I'm not the only one. And when you just said that, Sanghamitta, it was just like, yeah, I've met my crazy mind. It's like, it's okay. Like, I'm not probably more crazy than a lot of other people. So that helps me because really when that craziness comes up, or whether it's depression or anxiety, whatever, I realize that I just it's just I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna be okay, and that just keeps me going. And yeah, so basically and I'm actually, so just being so aware that I'm going to be okay at some point, probably, and I can handle my crazy mind right now. I can, whereas before, even a couple weeks ago, I thought I can't handle it, but now I know I can. So yeah, and of course the teachings are really helpful, so helpful, and yeah, so I just want to do meditation, like, do it once or twice a week. I mean, I do it on my own, but coming to class, because it really, really helps. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, if we can just sit with our, everything is impermanent. So if we can just hang in there, as our mind's going wild, it'll arise, it'll stay for a while, and then it'll peter out. And so if we can just hang in there till it peters out, then it gives you what you talked about, is the knowledge that this episode will end. And it's very interesting. Near the end of my career, they started teaching this for treatment of anxiety. Instead of having people distract themselves, it's just to hang in there with it. And because it will arise, it'll last for a while, and then it'll dissipate. And then it just gives you that, oh, this is not forever. I mean, yes, it's going to recur, but at this moment, it's not forever. It's going to end. So that's great that you've had that experience. That's wonderful. Itza, do you have something to share?
Yeah, when you mentioned that this doubt is not going to be about, do I pay my bills or not? I got a bit, disturbed, so to speak, because that's what I wanted to hear, the doubt about everyday life. But as you mentioned, the examples of what the Buddha considers doubt, believing in the teaching and all that, I found it very much relating to everyday problems also.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no excuse anymore not to listen to what you are saying. And not that I was looking for an excuse, but that's my everyday problem, that doubt. I have no excuse why I would meditate in the morning, and it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I feel so guilty, but I still did not meditate. Finally at 4 o'clock or maybe 7 o'clock, I sit down to meditate. The whole day passed with that anxiety, that why don't I meditate instead of doing the dishes, or whatever excuse I find, like there is millions of them. Mm-hmm. So meditation really helps to see that there is that seeing, so I am not so involved with the whole process. I see it from the outside. I am aware what I'm doing. That makes it even harder, though, because there is that push behind, like, come on, it's not important. Just sit down and do it, and then get it over with, or whatever. And I still don't do it. So that's a great struggle, but at least I see my struggle.
Yeah. And the Buddha said that is so important, because those who don't even see it, then they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance because they don't even see it. So this is wonderful I mean, it's difficult right now because you're in the struggle, but it's wonderful that you see
Yeah.
it. Now you have the chance to make a change. Yeah. And yeah, so maybe you can instead of saying, oh, just do it and get it over with, just think, this is like, to me, sitting down to meditate is like having a beach holiday. You've
Yeah.
got all the chaos of life all around you, but then you just sit down and close your eyes, and then it's like you're on the beach, and your breath is just like the waves coming in and out, and it's just so peaceful, and it doesn't cost any money.
Yeah. And I feel so much better after. If I do it in the morning, the whole day goes in a different manner. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
so I don't understand. And that's the procrastination, It's a self how do they say, self-sabotage
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. So you just have to bring to mind, how good you feel and how good those days are. And I think you said you were here for Bodhipala's talk. No?
No, just Aya's Sutra group.
Oh, you were with Aya Sutra. Okay, well, I just posted Bodhipala's. So if you go under resources and videos of weekly talks, then Bodhipala talked about dullness and drowsiness, and then referred a little bit back to Aya's last talk, which was on anxiety, and just how our hindrances give us all kinds of stories, like to keep the hindrances going. So I really encourage you to just have a listen to her talk from last week. Yeah, because it's really addressing what you're struggling with right now.
Yeah. It's not right now, it's for a long time.
Yes.
It's a long time. And I have a note that in 2013, I decided that I'm going to practice twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still not happening.
Yeah. Well, just make that second time 2 minutes, and then maybe you can get it to start.
Yeah, sometimes I do, but
yeah.
it's not regular, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
The power of intention is not there always.
Yeah. So this is why it's so wonderful to have a group. I know when I first started my meditation, I just went to a weekend workshop, and then there was a retreat coming up, and they had 40-minute sittings, and I couldn't even sit for 5 minutes. So I did practice because I really wanted to go to this retreat, and then I was so inspired from the retreat. I practiced for quite a while after, but then it fell because I didn't have a support group. And then the biggest gift to myself was when I started the group here in Canmore, and I was starting it for my patients. But the person who benefited the most was me, because I developed a regular practice, because I had to show up and teach, and then I had to practice what I was preaching. And so, so it's really, really, really helpful, because I'm going to say, if I skip ahead to my little list of antidotes here, one of them is good friendship and discussing the Dhamma.
Yeah.
And being familiar with instructions. And all of those happen when we come to a meditation group. Then we meet other people who are like-minded, and we can get encouragement from them. We discuss the Dhamma. You receive teachings. And so, coming here, you get all of those antidotes, to this hindrance. Okay, here, I'll just pin myself again. Okay, so the other things, I think we've covered them all. Wise attention, seeing impermanence, seeing suffering, seeing non-self, seeing the not beautiful and the beautiful. our own positive experiences with meditation, which we've just shared. Everybody shared. Thank you very much. Being familiar with meditation instructions. So coming here, hopefully you learn about that. And then I are both available for individual interviews, either live or on Zoom. So if you have, you can always ask in these meetings, you can ask questions, but if you would rather just do it personally or privately, then that's available to you to get meditation instructions. Oh, here's one we didn't mention, investigation of doubt. So I can't really address this because I don't know if I've ever really experienced doubt. I had such a positive experience. My first interaction with meditation, I just wanted to teach, tell the whole world about it. That's how wonderful it was. But anyway, if you are experiencing doubt, then you do want to sort of look at it and say, where is this coming from? Maybe a good thing if you have doubt is to come and talk to a teacher. To investigate it. And as I mentioned, the good friendship, and then discussing the Dhamma. Now, doubt totally ends at stream entry, and stream entry is the first level of awakening or enlightenment. There's four levels to enlightenment. So right now we're talking about the hindrances, the 5 hindrances. But if we sort of expand that list, there's what are called the fetters, the 10 fetters. So it's like ropes that hold the hot air balloon down. And at each of the 4 levels of enlightenment or awakening, some of those ropes, those fetters that sort of tie you down, are cut, totally cut, never to be reattached. And so this is one of the fetters that is totally cut at the first level of awakening, which is called stream entry. And there's absolutely no doubt. So one of the similes that the Buddha gives about this is you're walking through the forest or whatever to approach a mountain, and say enlightenment or awakening is the top of the mountain, but it's misty and you can't see that mountain, and you're walking, and you're just having to go on faith that there is a mountain there and that you'll be able to climb it. But for a moment, the mist parts and you see the mountain, and then the mist comes back in again. But now it's no longer on faith that you're going, because you saw that mountain, it's there. And so that gives you so much more courage to keep on the journey, keep going on the Noble Eightfold Path, because that mountain is there. You've seen it. You don't have to just have faith in somebody else saying that it's there. Okay, and I just have...
Sanghamitta,
Yes.
I was just wondering, when you were saying the doubt,
Mhm.
what was that, the doubt about meditation, or are you saying doubt about our personal doubt of everything or anything that we're experiencing, like our personal doubt in general?
Right. So the definition, when the Buddha talks about the hindrance of doubt, he's referring to us doubting his awakening, that he is an enlightened being, and doubting his teachings, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path. But as it's very cogently pointed out, this has everything to do with our everyday life, because that's what the Buddha is teaching us, right? How not to suffer. And it's our everyday life, our untrained mind, that just creates so much suffering in our lives. And so if we follow the Buddha's teachings, then that falls away.
Right. So it's actually both. It's all the same, essentially, like the doubt of the teachings, or doubt about meditation, but it's also personal. It's our own doubts. It's all the same. Is that would you say that's correct?
Yeah. I'm not a Buddhist scholar here to go into the picky details, but I think we can just say that the teachings are teaching us how to train our mind so that we don't create our suffering. And
Right.
so it has an absolute direct impact on our
Personal
experience.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not in the definition, but it has a direct influence. So we don't have to be picking. You can just say yes to your question.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got one last quote here, and this is from the Digha Nikaya, number 13. And it's just a partial quote here. Unperplexed about wholesome states, one purifies their mind from doubt. So this is another antidote, that if you're unperplexed about what is wholesome. And Ahimsa, before she left on her trip to Ottawa, she shared with me that, at first, when she first met the teachings of the Buddha, she wasn't, sure. She was having some doubt about, because she didn't know them that well. But she'd had very beautiful experiences with the practice of metta, of loving friendliness, loving kindness. And that she was totally unperplexed about. So that's what she focused on. It was just her unperplexity about the practice of metta. And then that helps. When we're unperplexed, that helps purify our mind. Okay, so that's good. We managed to fill up the time there. So we got a few minutes, for any more Q&A or comments. Any more examples of overcoming doubt?
You were mentioning the website.
Yes.
And you were referring to a teaching in the miscellaneous section.
Yes. Are you there now?
No, because I am on on Zoom, so I can't.
Yeah. So if you go under teachings, there's about 4 items in the list, and it's the last item that says miscellaneous. And then there's 2 pages. So I think my article's in 4 parts. So you have to go to page 2, because page 1 is the more recent article. So you go to page 1 and you'll get part 1. I think the first one is Sanghamitta meets her frantic mind or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you go on to page 1, and it has the other 3 parts 2, 3, and 4 are on the first page. And then the other thing I mentioned to you is, if on the menu item along the top, if you click on resources, then the first drop down item is videos of our weekly talks. And then the most recent one that was posted was last week's, and that was Bodhipala talking about the hindrance of dullness and drowsiness. And she had some comments in there that will directly address some of the concerns that you brought up.
Hindrance of dullness and
dullness and drowsiness, that's the hindrance. Yeah. And not that you brought that up, but other comments that she made in the talk about the hindrances fooling us with, telling us things like, it's much more important to do the dishes, or I'm too busy to sit down and meditate. All those little things that our brains tell us. all the lies that our brains tell us. So she talks quite a bit about that. So I think you'll find that very, very helpful to listen to that talk. I think you were there and that was helpful to you, Linda. Is that right?
The talk, oh, it was like, it was just helped me so much. Like, it was like she was speaking to me directly. And a lot of times she actually was speaking to me directly. It was amazing. It was just like, I just couldn't believe it. It's like, this is exactly just for me. And yet I know so many others got, it just helped so much to, the biggest thing for me is I couldn't share how crazy I felt, like how I couldn't control my mind.
Mhm.
And it was often quite negative and fearful.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it was just like, I'm not the only one. And that helped. Just did everything for me. So that was a great talk.
Yeah,
I'm
great.
so glad I caught it.
Yeah, and Patricia just piped up that she felt it was special for her too.
Oh,
Only
great.
to show that the Buddha's teachings, that's what that is, not me, it's him, really speak to people,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We all come into this world with untrained
The same
minds.
mess.
Yes, we all have the same messy minds.
Yeah.
And the Buddha's giving us a way out, telling us how to train that puppy.
Crazy puppy.
That's our mind.
Yeah.
I find that whenever I have an issue and I open a book, it's just the right page,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
helps, and it's interesting because in one of Ajahn Amaro's talk, he is saying that I am not living in your house, and then he is bringing up examples that anyone can relate to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The universal mind. So
yeah.
yeah. Great. Okay. So we'll end. We always end with a Brahma Vihara, one of the beautiful emotions that we want to develop. So we've been talking about the hindrances that we want to let go of. But the Brahma Viharas are the beautiful emotions that we want to develop. And the one we're going to do today is metta, loving friendliness. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be loving. May you be calm. May you be safe. May no problems come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no harm come to you. May you meet with spiritual success. May you have the patience, the strength, the courage, the determination, the inner clarity and the wisdom to meet and overcome the inevitable problems in life, to meet and overcome the inevitable difficulties in life, to meet and overcome the inevitable frustrations in life, and to meet and overcome the inevitable failures in life. May the whole of our hearts be filled with loving friendliness. May every cell of our bodies be filled with loving friendliness. May every level of our consciousness be purified by loving friendliness. May we build a healthy, happy aura of loving friendliness all around us, through which no evil thought, word, or intention, or any form of harm may penetrate, but from which loving friendliness may radiate in all directions. And may we be protected. May the merit of our practice be shared with all sentient beings, named and unnamed. These and her family, Blair, Simon, Mudita, Tracy. May all beings be well and happy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.